Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we bullshit about nothing. Well, not exactly nothing. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Grandmouse 1.
We are going to jump into a little bit of Sony news, a little bit of PlayStation news. Earlier this week, it was announced that the last few shipments of the PlayStation 3 is actually going to be shipped out and everything else. It looks like the PlayStation 3 is actually going to finish up production in Japan. Let's see here. All scheduled shipments, let's see here, according to a notice that was delivered to GameStop via Gematsu, the Japanese website Gematsu, that shipments of the PS3 are scheduled to end soon. Basically, this, along with kind of like an unofficial announcement or news blurb on the Sony's official PlayStation website, is pretty much officially signaled the end of the PlayStation 3 production in Japan. This particular system, which was originally launched out in November of 2016, is set to go ahead and finish up. It's probably going to finish up production in April of 2017. That means that particular console has been on the market. That particular generation has lasted over 11 fucking years. I know Theme barely got himself a PS3 not too long ago. Grey Mouse, I don't know if he's gotten around to getting one. I have myself one. It's definitely a competent console. Hey, look, it's a Super Slim. That's right. I think I was there when you got that.
No, I had this for years when I was actually in Japan.
The Super Slim?
Yeah, I bought this when I was at the exchange, the Navy Exchange.
Oh, okay.
I just have the Slim, but I don't have the Super Slim.
Yeah, the one that's sitting right there, that's a Super Slim. My Slim is downstairs. But yeah, it's marks an end of an era for the PlayStation 3 and everything. Great console and all of that. What are your guys' thoughts on it? We all knew it was going to happen inevitably, but if you consider the fact that the PS4 has been out like almost 4 fucking years now, and they've still been producing PlayStation 3s up until this point, it kind of says volumes about the console itself.
Well, end of an era. Okay. Era versus tied with bleach. Okay, look. PS3. Its initial launch for $700 freaking dollars.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, screw that. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Regardless of what they had on it, I was like, no. The last time I paid that much for a console was in the 90s, and that was for Neo Geo.
Yeah.
I had that for 2 weeks. But all of that aside, the PS3, they made their mistakes early on, launch, and then a couple of years in. That was just basically the third console curse or whatever. But then they went game-centric around the time where Xbox started making stupid decisions.
Yeah. Huh.
And they came out with a Slim and then a Super Slim, and then they were trying to cut down costs, and they were doing things that they had to in order to get that system up, running, selling, and so on. Yes, I got my PS3 basically when the lifespan of it was over. And I'm currently backtracking, getting games for it. And it's nothing bad about that system. It was just the fact that they had to make up for a lot of mistakes that it's made. Now, yes, Now, personally, third-party games are better on 360. That's just the way I see it, as far as third-party games. But look at the first-party games that the PS3 had that are so good that the PS4 is also getting those games. I think that's kind of hilarious, but again, just like the Reverend said, it was only inevitable. Who thought that the PS3 would have lasted this long? Who thought it was going to last forever? Who is actually complaining about this? What? They're taking away the PS3? What? No! Seriously? It was bound to happen. I'm just surprised it took this long.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, thinking about it, the fact that the PS4, and like I said, come this November, it's going to be out 4 fucking years, all right, already, and that they're barely coming around to editing the production on the PS3, kind of leaves things with, like I said, huge perspective on it. What about you, Great Mouse? What are your thoughts, sir?
PlayStation's the last one standing. Microsoft already stopped their production on the 360. Obviously, the Nintendo stopped their production on the Wii U, and that was just the last one standing. And like you said, it was inevitably was going to happen sooner or later, and it did. But the thing is, though, what people don't realize is that this is only stock production in Japan. We don't know what that holds for us over here.
There'll be like 2 or 3 more Maddens that'll be released for it.
That'd be 2 or 3 more years then. But so that's what I find very interesting. I wouldn't put the nail in the coffin quite yet. Yeah, they quit producing in Japan, but there was nothing said as of of this video about North America or EU or Australia. So I find it a very interesting time, in all honesty.
It's still a good streaming device. It's still a good Blu-ray player.
And like you said, it had a rocky start, $700 at SRB at launch. That was just a little too much.
A little.
And, it came to a point to where the 360 was just, outpacing it, pretty much like what the PlayStation 4 is doing to the Xbox One at this moment. And then towards the end of the 360 cycle, it seemed like they caught up with the 360, and I think they surpassed it, more or less.
I'm not sure about that, but I
think they surpassed it by a couple million units.
Well, Microsoft, as far as the Xbox One, they...
No, I'm talking about the 360.
No, but I'm going to touch on what you just said as far as the Xbox One kind of surrendered. They were throwing up white flags. They were,
But, it was, like you said, it was a good run, especially if you liked JRPGs.
Well, look at how long the PS2 lasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PS2 lasted an inordinate amount of time.
It's the same amount of time.
Yeah, but the PS2, I think the thing with the PS2, though, is that it also had the benefit of something like an extra 40 million units sold worldwide altogether.
What helped the PS2 was it was an affordable Blu-ray player at the time.
When they first came out?
Yes, because instead of spending
this DVD player on the market.
Yes, it was. Instead of spending $800 for a 1-disc DVD player, your PlayStation 2 could play games and you could watch.
It was easy to navigate. It was by Sony, so people bought it just for the name of it alone. But back to the PS3, had some good exclusives on it. And like I said, so good that they're making them and putting them on the PS4.
Well, the good thing about this all, too, is maybe some of the, since it's ending production, maybe that some of the games off the PlayStation 3 will be a little cheaper or bundled together, so where you could actually pick up the games for reasonable.
They're already reasonably priced now, especially considering that everything for the PS3 is considered last generation,
Wait, I think some of the opposite is going to happen. You're going to get certain games that are going to be so obscure that they're going to jack up the price. Look at, hell, when you think about other past systems and certain games that you either can't freaking find anymore or they're so freaking obscure.
Well, what plays in the factor on that is whether or not the developer still exists. If the developer goes out of business in between, yeah, it's going to become more obscure.
Or surrender.
For example, like Crystal Dynamics is one of the companies that just, they went out of business.
They're still making Lara Crofts.
Huh?
I said they're still making Tomb Raiders, Lara Crofts. But I get what you're saying. But or how about companies that surrender like Konami?
Yep. But it's not all gloom and doom. I've had a lot of fun with my my PlayStation 3, and
what did you enjoy the Halo Killer Killzone?
No,
I couldn't even finish that without even chuckling.
No, but yeah, like we were saying earlier, I mean, this is coming out of Japan. We don't know what it's going to be like in the North America market, the Australian market, and the EU market. I'm pretty sure they're going to follow suit pretty quickly within the next 6 months. We'll probably hear something about that, or it may be sooner.
I'm pretty sure that the scheduled production shipments worldwide are going to be fulfilled pretty soon, and we're not going to see too much more of it. One of the big clues is the fact that a lot of the services that are currently being offered over PlayStation or PSN that was offered at the time for PS3 and PS4, those services have actually went ahead and been cut off. They are no longer supported. They're no longer being provided on the PS3 as a platform. Yeah. One of the services that was cut off was actually PlayStation Now. That used to go ahead and be able to run on the PS3, the Vita, and also the PS4. Like, I believe a month or two ago, they went ahead and they decided to go ahead and say, well, no more PS Now for the PS3. We're going to remove that support for that particular service. We're going to take that out of the firmware and take it off the marketplace for PS3. We're only going to concentrate on the PS4 and also PC. All right. Now, we mentioned PlayStation Now as a service before in previous videos. The thing that came out, I believe it was on the 15th, is that they have confirmed that they are going to start making available on PlayStation Now PS4 games. Okay. Now, the one thing that we had mentioned about PlayStation Now in a previous video was that one of the reasons why we didn't think it was such a troubling service in the first place was that, look, if they offer everything up until the PS3 library, it was like, cool, then you still have this big incentive to go out of your way to get a PS4, all right, or a PS4 Pro if you're somebody who doesn't have one and you're considering doing something like that. But once you start releasing out PS4 games on PlayStation Now, and that's also available on PC, then yeah, you're kind of stagnating a little the incentive for a brand new PlayStation owner to go out, or somebody who's on the fence about buying a PlayStation. That doesn't act as one of the things to sit there and say, oh, you have PS Now, but I can get that on PC too. So that's not a factor that's going to weigh in on somebody getting pushed toward buying that particular system. I have a few concerns about this, and I know everybody has some thoughts on this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor. What do you guys think about PS4 games showing up on PS Now? Yeah.
Okay, look. You know damn well it's not going to be the newest, the latest, and the greatest as far as the games are concerned. You knew.
Yeah.
You know about
better that. Not be. It better not be.
Yeah, okay. You know about that going in. So the PS4 this coming November will be out for 4 years. Why not? Why not have those old titles that came out at launch available on PS Now? I see no problem with that.
Yep. What about you, Great Mouse? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't have much thoughts about this. In all honesty, I kind of echo the same thing that the theme says.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if they go ahead and, as long as they don't do brand new games, stuff that's been released probably within the last 2 years, as far as PS4 titles. And of course, there's going to be licensing things that they got to go ahead and hash out with third-party publishers if they decide to go ahead and distribute that way for the platform and everything. I don't think it's going to affect sales for the console that much, or it's not going to be that big of a factor. I do think that it's interesting that they went ahead and they decided to go ahead and announce this out after Microsoft announced out that they had the Xbox Game Pass coming out. Because it was just one of those things where it was like, it's just, I don't know if they're doing it as a reaction to try to sit there and say, oh, hey, look, our PS Now as a service is just as relevant as Xbox as the Xbox Game Pass. But I think it's pretty interesting, the timing that they went ahead and they chose to go ahead and announce it out.
What's funny? Go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just going to say, at this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. I mean, PlayStation has sold, pretty much 2-to-1 on the Xbox, So to me, it might, the Microsoft Pass may, convince a couple people that are on the fence. Believe me, there's a couple people that's still on the fence about getting investing in the Xbox One. But if you quit freaking canceling games, anyway. But yeah, I mean, I do feel that it was probably a direct answer. Sony did a direct answer to Microsoft, because I don't think that would have been, I don't know. I mean, you just can't come up with a program like that just off of the cuff just because your competitor did it. I mean, they probably had that, as a curveball a while ago, and they just now pulling the trigger.
You see, that's what I was just about to say. Number one, with the PS Now games, as far as new games, okay, just do that for Madden or something like that. Have that shit hit PS Now as soon as it releases.
EA is going to do that if they want to try to push that through EA Access. They're not going to do that.
But I think that both of these companies, Microsoft and Sony, especially Microsoft, just couldn't wait to make that announcement at E3. I thought that Microsoft would announce their little, their little answer to PS Now.
Well, actually, no. The Microsoft Pass came first, and Sony answered them up.
That's what I'm saying. I thought that Microsoft would have waited until E3 to announce it. Because
I'm actually kind of glad that they did it this way. That way, they could be more.
Nothing else for E3.
But maybe they could be more game focused. I mean, that's an oxymoron. I'm just saying.
Well, the thing with
maybe they're more. They're trying to get all this petty shit out of the way, so that maybe they could focus on gaming.
Here's
E3.
Here's the thing right now. The thing with Microsoft is that they may have enjoyed a few months where they beat PlayStation out as far as the selling of hardware consoles, because people were sitting there saying, hey, look, the PS4 Pro is just around the corner. So the 3 months leading up into the PS4 Pro, Microsoft was beating out PS4. The Xbox One was outselling the PS4 in numbers. However, they're now in a similar situation right now where everybody knows the Scorpio is going to release out at the end of the year. So they have to sit there and give, prospective customers a reason to pick up an Xbox, an Xbox One S, because otherwise it's like, we're just going to wait and pick up the Scorpio and see how that pans out.
I hate to say this, but I don't think that many people are going to buy that Scorpio. It's just the pricing is just way out. I mean, just maybe the hardcore. I don't think they're going to be. Yeah, I'm serious. I don't think there's going to be a dramatic.
Underestimate fanboyism.
I don't see Microsoft selling 10 million units of the Scorpio in 2 months. I just don't.
Well, let me put you this way. The only
There's
reason
no games on Microsoft console. There's no reason to buy.
But people, look, fanboys are not interested in that. They're interested in the power.
Yeah, but fanboys are gonna. Fanboys are not going to equate, over 5 million fucking systems sold in 2 months. All right, you need casual buyers to get to hit that number.
And that's not going to. I mean, a casual gamer is not going to buy that Scorpio.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I really don't think.
Look, I didn't think that the Switch was going to do this well, honestly, but
I thought it was going to do well, especially with.
Well, you're a Zelda junkie. That's why.
Well, especially with the only reason why it's doing well is people actually buy it.
Will be packaged with Halo 6.
Huh?
I'm calling that right now.
No, I mean, the reason why Nintendo actually sold as well as they did was because of that. Was because of Legend of Zelda. They had that. I knew they were going to do good because once I found out that the Legend of Zelda and the Switch were going to be released on the same day, I said I knew they were going to move.
Listen, you saw E3 last year. People creamed over the Scorpio, even though the Xbox Slim was announced an hour before that.
Yeah.
We already knew about the Scorpio, but people still creamed on the announcement. Even though people creamed over the Xbox One S, and that actually sold. So if you think that people are not going to upgrade to the Scorpio or not going to get it, people are saying up for it.
The Scorpio is not their white knight to fill in the gap between PlayStation 4 and Microsoft and the Xbox One.
Yeah, Halo 6 will be.
Now the thing that helped was the Game Pass. That actually perked a couple of people's interest. Like, whoa, wait a minute, that's interesting. And then, like what the Reverend was saying earlier about the PlayStation Now, just out of the blue, all of a sudden said, yeah, let's include PlayStation 4 games with the PlayStation Now, PlayStation Now. So I mean, to me, I don't see that much. I mean, is there that much of a game log for the PlayStation 4?
Yeah. There's already 4 years worth of a library, to go ahead and build up on. Like I said, they don't have to put out everything, they could just keep whatever's maybe the first few years of titles and stuff like that, make those available.
Okay. But here's some of the games that are going to be released on PlayStation Now as far as PS4 is concerned. There's Tekken Tag Tournament 2. I think The Last of Us is going on there, even though that was a PS3 game. Injustice, Mafia 2, Batman Arkham Origins, I think, is one of them. So it's not like these games are supremely out of date, but they're earlier titles.
But would you put it past Microsoft or Sony to put current games on there, on those programs?
Microsoft has already said that they're not going to hesitate about launching brand new games on Xbox Game Pass.
Is that going to influence Sony to do the same?
Maybe.
Because that's something that's I'm just saying that's what, because I read that article with Phil Spencer. He said they're not going to hesitate.
Look, you know what they're doing. This is fast forwarding to digital only. Please think about that. That's what this is leading up to. Both companies are trying to be slick with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, Microsoft tried that back in 2013. They tried to be blunt in your face.
That's why they're inserting their coin and they're trying it again.
Yep. Oh yeah. Sony's doing the same thing.
Sony just made that announcement, but Sony is not going to do it unless it works with Microsoft, and Microsoft has to do it correctly and not tether you to the console.
What's interesting is that it is enough to make Sony worry and create this PlayStation Now program, with the PlayStation 4 games.
You know what's so funny about that? These systems already had that fucking capability. Wait a minute, think about it. Why do you think these systems had that big fucking update or download when you first plugged them in? They already have this shit. This is part of that fucking this is part of tethering you to the console shit. They're just turning it on.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think with this particular one, all right. Yeah, the timing is very, very much suspect. The one thing that we have to sit there and consider is that the only industry that Sony as a whole is actually profitable in is their video game market, okay? Because guess what? Their audio-video market, their PCs and laptops, their personal electronics, even their movies, all right? They are not doing well at all. Where it used to be that Sony was kind of like a jack-of-all-trades company where they put out like high-quality shit across the board, and then everybody else kind of caught up to them, and then they never let go of like saying, "Oh, we're Sony, we command like price point." No, you don't. Not when there are better products out there that are cheaper. You know, the only thing that's really propping them up and actually sustaining them as a company is how well they do in the video game market. The thing with the PlayStation Now is that maybe they know that just being able to go out of their way and lease games and stream them out and stuff like that on a subscription service is going to be mountains more profitable than any sort of physical release out there. And yes,
well,
they're moving toward. Yes, they're going to go ahead and move toward digital titles. The whole industry is moving that way.
Well, you know what though, Reverend, this is. I hate to admit it. Again, this is good. This is the reason why I say it's good is that when one company comes up with an idea and it's working and you get people behind it, investors behind it, other companies want a piece of that pie as well. So like we've been saying, like on this channel forever, we need this competition. This is good competition. I mean, it looks like we might be moving towards a digitally only world, but all three of us here, we've known that for years to come. We always knew that eventually we're going to move towards that. And these PlayStation Now and Microsoft Game Pass is like the bridge that's going to be built to that era.
Only if we allow it.
Well, I mean, it's immensely popular already. People like that idea.
Doesn't mean that we have a lot, because again, pricing's going to matter, especially if new games start popping up on that. You really think that pricing is going to remain the same?
Well, with Microsoft Game Pass, it's $10 a month to be able to have access to that.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
how
the
much.
games get more up to date.
Yeah, I would have to say that when it comes to the digital releases and stuff like that, pricing is going to matter, but it's not going to be so much of a factor that it already is.
Well, wait, hang on before you. If Microsoft puts if it's only $10 a month to stream all these games, then if they put a brand new game on there that's $60 retail, and it's only $10 over here as an electronic copy, where are people going to gravitate towards?
Well, what's probably going to
that $10 to a higher price tag.
Well, what's probably going to happen is that they're only going to sit there and allow people early access to launch titles through Xbox Game Pass if they're gold.
Look at what Nintendo is doing.
Yeah, if they're gold accounts, or they're going to sit there and they're going to say, "Hey, look, you can go ahead and you'll have like an early sneak peek of this." Right, where they're only able to sit there and maybe play like the first stage.
But no, I'm talking about full releases, man, because that's what Phil Spencer was talking about. He said that they will not hesitate to put full releases on that.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to do the marketing or I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, this is a very interesting
Microsoft
point.
Here's the thing, and we touched on this. Microsoft doesn't have the candle of games to do this with. You know what I mean? It's not that. Look, their library, especially first party, does not sustain anything. Now, Sony, they have a bit of a first party, but not that much. And it's steadily increasing. For them to put new stuff on there, okay, PlayStation Now is already, what, $20 a month?
Oh, so they're $10 more than Microsoft.
Yeah, but Microsoft has older games.
Yeah.
And look at what Nintendo's doing. Remember, oh, you want to borrow this? Well, here. Wait, why don't you let this go?
On the Game Pass, though, they're relying on their Xbox 360 games.
Yeah, but most of those are backwards compatible anyway with the Xbox One.
There's a lot of good games for the 360.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, like I said,
they won't get sequels on the Xbox One from their first party.
Yeah, this particular one, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's I think the reasons why they decided to go ahead and announce it right now is very transparent. They want to be able to sit there and say, hey, look, if people want the more recent generations titles that are available, then yeah, let's go ahead and we'll put them on PS Now as a reason for people to go ahead and, like I said, if they're buying a PlayStation 4, one of the first things that's right there on the front of the PlayStation 4 dashboard is, oh, hey, look, advertisement for all the other Sony fucking services and shit that they could sell, through the PlayStation 4. One of the first things that they have there is that PS Now option right there for people to go ahead and try out. I worry for Sony for the fact that, I hope that they're able to go ahead and find like better footholds for the rest of the products that they have outside of the video game industry. But for
Spider-Man Homecoming is gonna,
but for aside from
that would just make up for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but aside from that, it's just one of those things where it's very transparent, the reason why all of this stuff is happening. Yeah. What is your thought on that, folks? What are you thinking about when it comes to the PS3 ending its production in Japan? It's probably going to end up. We're probably not going to see any new PS3s after this particular year. Actually, probably after this summer. If I sit there and look at it realistically, the plus side to that is that, guess what? If you're somebody who's into buying like classic titles and you don't mind buying games a generation back, this is a good time to do it. All right, and also the fact that PlayStation Now is including PS4 titles into its lineup of games that are ready to stream. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something that's going to hurt Sony in the long run? Is that something that's going to, kill sales for physical copies or stuff like that? We'd like to hear about that, so leave us a comment below. While you're at it, hit like, hit subscribe. We absolutely adore when we see likes and subscribes. All right. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we've been bullshitting about Sony for the last, almost 40 minutes now. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and gaming. Yeah, just make gaming better. But don't try to tether us to the damn consoles digitally. Please. Credits.